This is one of the newest pod coffee and espresso machines on the market, and it's got a lot of buzz. But is the new L'OR Barista coffee and espresso system from Philips as dazzling as some would have you believe? I ordered one of these machines so I could try it out in my home to see what you're really getting here, what the coffee is like, how it works, and what makes it different. And there are a few key things to look at, like the fact it uses both Nespresso pods and the new L'OR pods, and it will brew both coffee and make espresso. I'll test everything out and then round up the pros and the cons and let you know if this machine deserves a spot on your kitchen counter. Let's start with what is the L'OR Barista coffee and espresso system. In a nutshell, it's an automated espresso machine that uses both Nespresso original pods and Philips' own L'OR brand to make both coffee and espresso. L'OR is a French coffee capsule manufacturer that makes espresso capsules which are compatible with Nespresso original machines. But the company's grander goal is to carve out its own ecosystem of coffee capsules to better compete with Nespresso. For this, you of course need a dedicated espresso machine that you can slap your name on, so L'OR partnered with Philips to develop the L'OR Barista coffee and espresso machine concept. Think of this machine as something positioned somewhere in between a dedicated Nespresso machine and a bigger multi-purpose offering. Maybe consider it a bigger and slightly more versatile espresso machine than something like a Nespresso Essenza or Inicia, but not nearly as elaborate as something like a Philips 4300. Let's dig into what it will do. Measuring about 11 inches tall, 7 wide, and 16 inches deep, the machine is a bit of a counter pig, but it does boast a significantly larger than average 40-ounce detachable water tank. Be sure to have at least 6 inches of height clearance over it, since the long top lid opens vertically for installing a capsule. It barely clears my cupboards. Let's hit on the espresso specifics. This machine uses 19 bars of pressure to extract the espresso, which may seem higher than necessary since espresso's sweet spot is somewhere between about 7 or 9 bars, but since many machines lose a lot of pressure between the pump and the group head, it usually ends up coming out around 7 to 9 anyway. L'OR's official website bundles every machine with 30 capsule samples so you can try out their coffee right away. But not for me. I ordered mine from Amazon and I discovered some online retailers don't automatically include the sample bundle, so you do have to make sure you've got pods of your own. I actually tried calling L'OR's customer service number to see if I could get a few pods to try, but after keeping me on hold for about 5 minutes, I was told to leave a message and then got disconnected. The only other option was an email form, which I also filled out. I was impressed, though, that I got an email back in under an hour offering the free coffee samples, so that's pretty nice. Setup is easy, just fill the water tank. The drip tray is also removable and can be used as a riser for smaller espresso cups or removed to fill a mug. The L'OR Barista coffee machine features what's called dual capsule recognition technology, which essentially allows the machine to automatically recognize the type of capsule you put in, whether that is a L'OR aluminum capsule or a standard Nespresso capsule. The company does offer a bunch of coffee flavors for a full mug of brewed coffee or in the single shot and double shot espresso capsule category as well. By the way, the L'OR capsules cost less than most Nespresso options, ringing in at between 50 to 70 cents each or so, but you do have to buy them in boxes of 100 at a time. Nespresso, by comparison, costs about 70 to $1.25 per capsule, but you can buy those in boxes of just 10. Both companies offer free pod recycling and composting. Back to the machine, it has 3 settings which are going to be different depending on whether you're using the smaller espresso capsules or the bigger coffee capsules. Small allows you to make a 5-ounce coffee or a 1.4-ounce espresso. Medium makes an 8-ounce coffee or a 3-ounce espresso. And the large makes a 12-ounce coffee or about a 4-ounce espresso. Making espresso is really simple. Lift up the lid until the pod drawer opens, drop your pod in round side down and close the lid until it snaps. Hit the power button and let the machine warm up, which takes only about 20 seconds. Then once the power button stays lit, you can choose your size of drink. The machine's going to use both spouts to pour an espresso so you can fill 1 cup or 2. Once you're finished making your espresso, the emptied capsule dispenses into a bin which lives behind the drip tray. This drawer can hold between 8 and 12 used capsules depending on their size. Initially, the first handful of times I tried to use the machine, I felt like the espresso was really watery. Now, I don't know whether this was just due to the pods or it was part of a break-in period, but I was pretty disappointed with what I got right off the jump. After my initial break-in period, I found the espresso brewed really quickly and seemed much more espresso-like. I'd definitely say the quality here is absolutely comparable to a standard Nespresso machine. I'm a fan of Nespresso coffees and I know the issues around recycling, so I always send my capsules back to Nespresso. I find though that this is a quick and easy and high-quality way to get my morning double shot without having to drive to a cafe or fuss with a manual machine. I tried both the Nespresso pods and the L'Or pods, and I found the machine worked perfectly with both. I also really enjoyed my trial of L'Or pods too. The coffee was rich and flavorful, and the pods are identical in size and shape to the Nespresso version. If you're wondering if it's possible to adjust each automatic drink size to a different amount, the answer is yes. It's actually a fairly quick and easy process, which I've detailed for you at techgadgetscanada.com. Okay, let's get to the coffee brewing. I was actually kind of excited to try making coffee with this machine since I was interested in the quality and what the brewing experience would be like. The brewed coffee pods are a bit taller than the espresso version, but otherwise pretty much the same size. They go in exactly the same place and the same way as the espresso pods. They just use more water and there's more coffee in the pod coffee cup. It was super easy to brew up a single cup with just the press of a button. Making individual cups of coffee does eat into the water reservoir more significantly, but that's also probably why it's larger than most. I found the coffee was actually pretty tasty and it suited my snooty coffee tastes just fine. I actually think this machine is super versatile. One of the only other machines I've tried that can do single serve coffees is a Keurig machine, and they don't tend to do espresso. The fact that this machine, while it does have a larger footprint, makes two different kinds of coffee and espresso really well is a huge plus in my opinion. The brewing speed is impressive. You can make a shot of espresso here in less than 30 seconds or so, and a regular-sized mug of coffee takes about a minute. Now, there have been volumes written about the ideal temperature for espresso, and of course, personal preference can play into it a lot too. While the water temperature isn't disclosed either online or in the manual as far as I could see, when I took measurements during the extraction process, the temperature peaked at about 175 to 180 Fahrenheit or about 80 Celsius. The water temperature here is not adjustable, which is pretty much standard for machines like this. Overall, this is a really good machine. One of the biggest selling points is going to be its versatility. It'll make both single-serve cups of brewed coffee as well as quality espresso under one roof. The quality of the coffee was really impressive, and the fact that I can use Nespresso pods or the Philips L'Or pods gives me a lot of options. The larger than average water tank is also a boon for espresso making, and of course it also means you don't have to refill a lot if you're making a couple of full mugs of coffee. Similarly, the large pod discard bin holds a lot and won't require constant emptying. I also found the noise level to be extremely moderate. Some Nespresso machines I've tried make a really loud buzzing noise that can be super annoying first thing in the morning, but this machine seems to me to be a lot more muted. When it comes to the downsides, probably the worst thing I can pick on is that the machine itself is on the larger size. Even though it is bigger than the average Nespresso espresso machine, it is significantly smaller than most other coffee makers. Now, how much this is going to factor into your decision will depend, of course, on how much counter space you have. The tall height of the lever on top may also affect your placement. In short, though, I have become a huge fan of this machine, and I can absolutely recommend it to coffee aficionados who are looking for a little more versatility than the average Nespresso machine can provide. The Philips L'Or coffee and espresso system sells for about $189 US. Canadian availability seems a bit limited at the moment, with only the occasional listing on Amazon at an exorbitant price. You can check out other options if you like milk with your espresso, like this machine from Philips, or see what a much smaller and simpler Nespresso machine is like in these reviews right now.